Hello and welcome to the Flourishing Introvert Talks with me, Jo Rawbone. This is the podcast that celebrates the natural gifts of introverts so that we can flourish in all situations. Episode 291. Who says introverts aren't cool? A numpty, that's who. But sadly, the numpty I'm talking about has a huge following, which, whilst their words have the potential for a greater reach, ironically, it makes it much harder for me to ignore them. And turning a blind eye just because someone is popular or well respected does nothing for my integrity. So, onwards. My reaction when I first read this piece was a classic John McEnroe type response. Anyone remember him? I said out loud, I believe, even though I was on my own, "You cannot be serious." But let me begin at the beginning because it's a very good place to start. I recently had the misfortune to read a post by someone I admire greatly talking about what it takes to be cool. Now, I don't give a jot about whether people think I'm cool or not, because the reality is I'm not, and I'm okay with that. I'm not here to be cool. I'm here to disrupt the status quo, make a positive impact and leave a legacy in people. So I didn't start reading the post with pen poised thinking, what can I learn here? I read it because I hold this individual in high regard. But here's the kicker. My diligent team have confirmed that barely a shred of what this guru posts these days is their own. It's AI scraps, stitched together, polished up and paraded like insightful brilliance. It may be effortless and may even be efficient, but cool it is not. It's costume play. Don't get me wrong, AI can be really useful, but not as a substitute for critical thinking and original ideas. Copy-paste is simply lazy. When your voice is a machine's echo chamber and you fail to declare it, you're not clever, you're counterfeit. One guru fell from their pedestal. Anyway, it wasn't long before I felt my hackles rising, and here's what really got my goat at the time. The post claimed to share 6 things that were common denominators of cool people. First on the list was, you guessed it, extroverted. I'll get to the other 5 soon enough, but there are several things about this that I find pissy, so let me address them one by one. Firstly, and I'm quoting, the massive study asked a question. Why do Bowie, Kendrick and Charlie XCX feel effortlessly cool? Apparently, the researchers ran the numbers and found a pattern. Well, dear researchers, you didn't do a great job of running those numbers or doing your background research, because Bowie and Charlie XCX publicly identified as introverted, and Kendrick identifies as an antisocial extrovert. So where the dickens did the first common trait come from? Oh, let me guess. Our bias towards the extrovert ideal. That's where. Can you feel the steam coming out of my ears right now? I sure can, and it's neither pretty nor comfortable. What's worse is the little tag in brackets after extroverted, which on that list read outgoing, demonstrating a clear misunderstanding about what introversion and extroversion really are. Kendrick, as an antisocial extrovert, is unlikely to count himself as outgoing, and many introverts are outgoing in the right company or if we're sufficiently pre-charged energetically. Given that at least 50% of any population identify as introverts, as Charlie and Bowie did, this sham research is attempting to condemn them, us, me, we, introverts, and dunk us straight into the uncool bucket. Well, I'm having none of it. For balance, I considered what I think makes people cool, and here are some of my ideas in no particular order. Firstly, they know who they are and they own it. I find there's something magnetic about people who aren't trying too hard, where there's no pretense and who are comfortable in their own skin. Next is people who stay calm under pressure. I'm inspired by the unflappable types and I find them effortlessly cool. Next are people who are quirky, be that in their style, their thinking or their choices. The important thing is that they're not cookie-cutter types and they resist the pressure to conform. The next thing I find cool is when people exude quiet confidence, not arrogance, just a steady, reliable presence that says, I've got this. Next comes those who balance seriousness with playfulness. This is something I aspire to, as I find the thoughtful and fun combination is endearing, if a little difficult for me to achieve. And finally on my list was people who treat everyone, themselves included, with respect. Kindness is underrated, but it never goes out of style and it always starts with self. I wonder what your list would look like. Maybe now's a good time to give it some thought. Now, if we look at the other 5 common traits, and I'm trying really hard to disguise the disdain in my voice right now, they are, with their bracketed explanations, hedonistic, enjoys life, powerful, has influence, adventurous, takes smart risks, open-minded, curious, autonomous, doesn't follow the herd. What? Again, I need to take issue with some of these explanations as they are more than a little misleading. Hedonistic doesn't simply mean enjoys life. It means devoted to and engaging in the pursuit of pleasure, especially sensual and immediate pleasures at the expense of others. It's seen as self-indulgent. Powerful is much more than simply influential. It's also about having control over people, and we know how much that can be abused. In fact, we're experiencing that right now, and I don't know many who would describe those in power as cool. Megalomaniacs, maybe. Cool? Nah. Then we get to adventurous, which they say means takes smart risks. Nowhere in the definition of adventurous does it say smart. Willing to try new, difficult, even dangerous things, yes. Smart? Nowhere to be seen. Next is open-minded, which they equate with curious. Dictionary definitions talk about willing to consider ideas and opinions that are new or different to your own. Being curious, on the other hand, is a desire to learn and understand, so they are related but not the same. You can see where the steam is coming from, can't you? Finally, we get to autonomous, which they describe as someone who doesn't follow the herd. Well, again, not quite the same. Someone with autonomy has and maybe takes the power to make their own informed decisions, and this may or may not be to follow the herd. So those with autonomy have agency and sovereignty, so are less likely to be swayed by others. So these 6 are described as the it factor. And ironically, many of the introverts I work with demonstrate them calmly. However, whilst introverts are highly unlikely to crave or actively pursue the it factor, I wonder how many would have written themselves off when they saw that extroverted was top of the list. I know I would have done a few years ago. Not so much now, though. Personally, and I guess this is my bête noire showing, oops, I wonder why they felt the need to put extroverted at the top of the list, given that the 3 people they were using as examples aren't really extroverted. Duh, of course. To satisfy the predominant bias. Silly me. And it's the only one on the list that is a personality type. The rest are attitudes and skills. Anyway, there was what appeared to be slightly better news as the post continued. The highly respected guru redeemed himself a little in my eyes when he pointed out that cool doesn't necessarily equal good. Hurrah! Cool people may be admired, he says, but good people are trusted. Ah, interesting twist, but not enough to rectify the damage done thus far. And what even makes people good, I wondered. He says admirable, warm, secure, calm, conscientious, and caring across groups. Okay. He nearly got me there. Nearly. But wait. Good is a judgment based on personal experience and values, so it's highly subjective. We've seen that in spades following the recent assassination. And of course, the opposite of good is bad. So again, I'm consigning people to a bucket or category based on my personal judgment. I prefer not to think of people as either good or bad. So his assertion that good is supposedly better than cool doesn't really wash with me. In his conclusion, he tries to present a more positive perspective in that whilst cool is about attention and status, which mostly introverts aren't interested in, good, he states, is synonymous with connection and respect, and both of those sit more comfortably with me, even though I'd describe them more as well-intentioned rather than good. And well-intentioned is what I aspire to, but even that is oversimplified, don't you think? Anyway, when I look back over my list, I realised that I hadn't separated cool from well-intentioned. It's like they're one and the same thing in my mind. So you don't need to be cool, and you don't even need to be good by someone else's standards. What really matters, as he reminds us, is being real, a little brave, and unapologetically yourself. Yes, I'll take that every time. Now, where did I put my big girl pants? Yes, right alongside my critical thinking hat and my unmistakable coat of many colours. This introvert may not be cool, but she's well-intentioned, quietly gutsy and not for hiding. And maybe that's the new cool. If you've ever felt unceremoniously dunked into the uncool bucket just for being quieter, it's time to pick up your pen and rewrite your life script. Let's stop meekly accepting labels that others try to stick on us and start owning who we really are. If you enjoyed this episode as much as I did, then please subscribe, rate us and leave a comment, because we know that helps other people find the podcast. And if other people find us, other introverts can flourish.
You are listening to an Intentional Media Production podcast.